What up, family? Today, Nevin Freeman, the CEO of Reserve Protocol, tweeted a update. Well, actually last night, so I'm gonna make sure I share this with you guys. He says, "Tough market out there. In case anyone wondered, it's not impacting our plans at all. We're still just working hard to be able to A, serve more Reserve users, and B, launch the full Reserve Protocol, aka mainnet, as soon as we can. We're close to done swapping out our customer support system. The team is practicing and training on the new system at the moment, which is last on our to-do list before we can start giving users more invites to share each week. Mainnet protocol is still in the architecture phase. We're excited about what we will be releasing, and the architecture here means that we are carefully thinking through the mechanisms details to prevent unforeseen modes of exploitation. The product and engineering teams have recently released a better interface for buying and selling RSV with other cryptocurrencies, which has become pretty popular in the app. That's crazy. They're going to release another upgrade to that soon, which will automate it further. Automation. That's huge. Actually going to retweet that one real quick. We've been hiring several more people for our compliance team to be able to process more users KYC per day. That's when you submit your IDs for verification, things like that. We've also started to deal with more fraud as our user base grows, so we're handling that in stride. And as I always say, it's a broken record, I guess, a whole lot more behind the scenes on top of these things. Continuing to grow the team, train new people, improve our culture and practices, and learn more about our users and markets and so on. Couple takeaways. So from my understanding, it looks like we're still on track for mainnet to be launched by the end of 2021. Nevin seems very positive about the fact that the app is scaling, the team is working hard, and he says, quote unquote, we are working hard to be able to launch the full Reserve protocol as soon as we can. And he put the emoji. So it sounds very positive. So that's a great sign. Good, definitely green light. And then here, so also they're swapping out the customer support system. So sounds like an upgrade, obviously, with the onboarding of over 100,000 users. There's quite a bit of users, that probably takes a bit getting used to from a business standpoint. And I'm pretty sure they're upgrading to make that process more seamless, more efficient as far as reserves, processes. And then he said this is the last on our to-do list before we can start giving more invites to share out, for users. So users will be able to give out invites, sort of how the Clubhouse, if you're familiar with Clubhouse, it worked on an invite-only basis. So they're doing the same thing. Reserve is going to give each user that has an account already a certain amount of invites to give out to their circle. So that's the last on the to-do list. So it sounds like we're right on the tip before we, start scaling. Again, like obviously it's not open, but it's still going to be scaled. And then the mainnet protocol is still in the architecture phase. So they're very thoughtful about how they're going to structure and build the mainnet protocol. And they're keeping in mind that, they're trying to make sure they account for every unforeseen, mode of exploitation. In other words, hacks. They want to make sure that can be exploited, can be hacked. The system can be compromised for obvious reasons. Nobody wants their funds to be hacked or taken in any type of way. And then the product engineering teams. So the product and engineering teams have released a better interface. So just the UI, so what you see on the screen on your phone is better for when they buy and sell RSV for the cryptos. And he did mention this has become a pretty popular use case in the app. So people are selling and buying RSV with other cryptos. So the crypto ecosystem in Venezuela, Argentina, Colombia, and Panama must be pretty nice if they're using cryptos and they're exchanging them. That's crazy. They're going to release another upgrade that soon will automate it further so that these transactions will be automated. That's taking a lot of the pressure and weight off of the shoulders of the core reserve team. So I know that's awesome for them, and it's a very big green light for scaling. That's what scaling is all about. You got to automate your processes so it's less time intensive and less resource intensive. They've also been hiring more people for the compliance teams to make sure that they can onboard. Obviously they can scale their onboarding process so they can onboard more KYC, which is know your customer, which is processing of your documents, your critical documents such as your identification, things like that. That's very important, and that's obviously a pain point for people like you and me in the States, or if you're in Europe, anywhere you are, if you sign up for any crypto exchange, some crypto exchanges take a while. Some other crypto exchanges may take on less than an hour. So that's very good for customer satisfaction, and it's definitely awesome that they're focused on that. And then he also mentioned fraud. Just with any technology, any app, any website, any ecosystem that is built, there are going to be people trying to exploit it. So they're also trying to make sure that they deal with the fraud as the user base grows. So they're handling it in stride. So that's a great sign that it's not affecting them too much. If you read PayPal Wars, there was a huge issue with people, scamming the system. So I'm pretty sure they have, learned a lot of those lessons from the previous PayPal members. So that's awesome to see that they're taking it in stride. So learn lessons and look like they're being applied. So then he also said there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, which as always, seems like the team is working around the clock. They're growing the team, training, and they're learning about the users and markets. So the continuous learning process is still ongoing. They're not complacent. It doesn't sound to me like they're complacent. So that's a green light. With all these users being onboarded, I think the pedal is on the gas more than ever to scale, especially while, in my opinion, we're still in this bull market until at least the end of 2021. Not that it even matters to Reserve, but I just think as far as the scaling goes and user demand is growing, it's very important that we capitalize on this user demand that we're having right now. There are tons of users from the Ola Reserve team that basically have been reaching out to the Ola Reserve team to request access. So demand is up, and the team is working hard to make sure that they can fulfill those needs. And that's really all I want to drop. It's up to you on how you take it, but I think this is great. I mean, transparency is everything with any crypto. So these are the type of messages you want from any project that you invest in, so you can know what's going on. First of all, first thing I want to do is give credit where it's due to Mr. Malo, who is Reserve's adoption manager, who gave us this reserve adoption update. So I don't know, they haven't put their Twitter so you can follow them, but obviously I'm about to share content from them. Credit to Mr. Malo for putting in work and sharing great content. So Reserve has given us an adoption update. This was posted on May 20th, which is very recent, May 20th, 2021. News from Latin America and app progress. So if you're like me and you're purchasing Reserve Protocol and you have a big bag of Reserve Protocol, at that point, after you hold a big bag, pretty much the only thing you can do is just stay up to date. Keep up to date with the project, because if you see any red flags, that might be the moment where you cut ties with the project and store your funds in a stable coin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or other altcoins that are promising. But certain projects like Reserve Protocol have proven time and time again why they're blue chip, why they're top tier, and why they deserve to be in that top 10 of the cryptocurrency market cap rankings very soon, sooner than later, in my opinion, because of their truly flawless fundamentals. And I don't really pay attention to technicals too much, but I do like to invest in projects while they're under $100 million market cap and ride them, to the moon. Right? So I like holding long-term projects. I try to have a 5 to 10 year outlook. Me being a human, you have emotions, but I've been in the game for 4 years. I've been in crypto space for 4 years. So the more experience you get, the more of a long-term perspective, hopefully you'll get, and the less stress you'll have. So I'm going to give an update. Hopefully this will relieve stress and just, kind of fortify your conviction in the Reserve Protocol project. So merchant adoption. For this topic, the quick update here is that there are currently 1,500 merchants that accept Reserve. So that's great. 1,500 businesses are accepting them. This is also going to encourage more customers to use Reserve. If you go to a merchant and they accept Reserve and you don't have it, obviously it may stimulate a little curiosity there. So that's awesome. One big update here I thought was, pretty interesting. So they have a food and grocery delivery business called Yummy, which is very similar to what we know as Uber Eats, or what others may know as Deliveroo or Glovo. Uber Eats, Postmates, DoorDash, they have Yummy in Venezuela. And Yummy is, using Reserve now. So they have over 200 merchants or businesses accepting Reserve and over 50 drivers. And so they also said since they were paying their staff with Reserve, it made sense to take it as payment as well. So the app users get 10% off Yummy if they use Reserve. So they're not only paying their staff with Reserve, but they're accepting as payment. So that's awesome because some of these merchants, they may not pay their staff in Reserve, but they can accept it as payment and vice versa. And just to give you some understanding, just a little perspective, Yummy app has over 100,000 downloads on Google Play and over 2,000 reviews on the Apple Store. Due to this estimate, they think that there are about 500,000 total downloads. So that's how much exposure the Reserve app is getting, the Reserve team is getting. So that's amazing. And here's a picture of the drivers for, the Yummy drivers delivering the food. So it has more than 250. Wow, this one has 250 drivers. Up here, it just mentioned 50. So we actually have over 250 delivery drivers and more than 200 merchants signed up for Reserve. So the actual employees are getting paid on Reserve, but the business itself is accepting Reserve as payment as well. So that's awesome. That's amazing to see. Here's a little screenshot of the interface within the app of, you can get McDonald's, American, you can get Mediterranean. There are specific, restaurants here. It's all types of stuff. So it's pretty cool to see. You got food and I think there's cigars. You got ice cream, Chinese, florists. You can get flowers on there. Pretty nice to see. App adoption. Next topic. So we have a major adoption. So one of the biggest things when we first, when the app was first launched, to the public, was the focus on automations because a lot of the processes were still manual. And so today is another special day for many reasons, but above all because we are releasing improvements in crypto transactions. And they asked, have you already reviewed the app? So this person said it's automatic. So crypto transactions are now automatic. So that means way faster, way more user-friendly, and, more satisfying. That's what you want at the end of the day. And this is a major step in the right direction for the Reserve team. All these small wins along the way are what makes, a monopoly, a juggernaut, a Google, a Facebook, a Tesla. That's what we want. We want somebody that has dominant market share over the market, and Reserve is definitely working in that direction. And this is very important for the scaling of the app. So you want to make sure that you maximize or optimize the support staff to user ratio. So we can have over 15,000 users, but only one customer service representative to maintain all of those users. The bigger this first number is, the better off Reserve is when it comes to scaling. The more you can automate, the more you can scale, which is pretty obvious, right? So this is a big step in the right direction as far as automations go. Here's a quick tweet. This is a beard care company. So they added 2 new payment platforms, one of them being Reserve. And so this is a beard company that now accepts Reserve as payment. So this is awesome to see. So shout out to Mr. Goldbeard. This is something also in the short term before we scale back to opening the app and before we scale out to distributing invites to current Reserve users is they're kind of doing a raffle. They're doing a raffle for invites. So there are now weekly raffles for a $10 prize with 3 winners each week. This encourages social media interaction as people only have to reply with their username. So pretty nice there. And they've also openly asked the community for feedback and features in order to improve the app. And they kind of set up a little vote here. So the options they got to vote for were operating 24/7, which from my understanding, they're referring to the customer support team operating 24/7, PayPal integration in the app, a iPhone version of the app, and so the availability of cash in other cities. So you can actually order cash directly to you. They want cash to be delivered in other cities, but currently the PayPal integration is leading. This is actually pretty ironic because there are several former PayPal team members that are supporting and are working and or investing in the Reserve protocol team. Also something to note, so they have a weekly virtual office hours so that the Spanish-speaking community in Venezuela, Argentina, Colombia, and Panama can get their questions answered. They occasionally have a special guest on to present something of interest. There also is a quick update about invitations. They have started invitations again. at 100 invitations per week, and there's raffled off based on the comments they get on each of the Reserve or Ola Reserve social media accounts. So this is a great way to not only give people access to the app, but also to kind of get the buzz going on social media. The social media numbers continue to climb, but slower due to the lack of invitations up until recently. So currently, the Twitter Ola Reserve profile has over 33,000 followers. The Instagram has almost 20,000 followers, probably already there. And the TikTok account has over 80,000 followers. And some of the TikTok videos are getting quite a bit of views. This one right here has over 40,000 views. So the social media presence, which we all know is very important in the crypto space, is growing, and that's great. That's awesome to see, because we all know there are certain projects out there that get tons of social media, impact, but they might not necessarily have the fundamentals and the real use case behind it to back it to really, fortify what people are investing in. Cash runway. This may be what most of you have tuned into this video for, because the crypto market is very volatile, and for those of you that are new, you may think this is the end of the world, and the prices are slumping for some people's perspective, but the cash runway is not an issue at all for the Reserve team. They even mentioned whenever they're hiring engineers, they're willing to compete with Amazon, Google, Apple, and Netflix on compensation. So cash is not an issue. Because we have the cash treasury to comfortably do so, we can offer an unusual degree of job security. So they just want to reiterate that is not an issue at all. So some projects are dependent upon how much money is staked in their project, how much people have actually invested from the community, but Reserve is not at all dependent on stakers or anything like that. You can also check out the Reserve Reddit channel. This is something I just got hip to. This has been very useful. There are some pretty nice posts in here that you can stay up to date with, and pretty insightful posts here. So I highly recommend you guys join the Reserve Reddit if you have not already. And with that, stay healthy and let's get wealthy.